Hey everybody, it's the Wrestler Review. I'm Dylan Gott, and
It's me, the man that rips more lines than a 10-pound bass.
yeah,
I'm wearing a Slayer shirt that says Obama. I'm writing a middle finger to Mars. Ladies and
that's
gentlemen,
sick.
please welcome to the podcast. He's thick but short penis-wise.
Ooh,
John.
hasting.
Yeah, I wanted to see how long you'd let that air
So,
happen. Kid.
just
So
for
for
those of
those of
you
you not
guys that you go for it,
For those of you that are not part of the Patreon, we just watched Kid Rock's newest music video that dropped right as we were recording our Kid Cash episode. For those of you who haven't figured it out, Kid Cash is he's like the wrestling equivalent of that. He's the Kid Rock equivalent of that time they made Sting be the Joker in TNA.
that's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny how Kid Cash comes in the grand tradition. I remember thinking this is kind of dumb when I saw Kid Cash in ECW. But then I'm remembering like that Rob Van Dam's character is that he is Jean-Claude Van Damme just because he looks like
No,
him, and
no,
it
no,
was
no, no,
like,
no,
oh,
no, no,
okay.
no, 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 no. It's his character's so much better. If Jean-Claude Van Damme was from America and smoked weed.
I mean, that's dope. There's nothing
Like,
wrong with wrestling. There's nothing wrong with
yeah.
wrestling, and there's nothing wrong with Kid Rock. By the way, if for all the people online who are, I'm gonna say, beside themselves about the Kid Rock video, they've clearly never been. I guess these people just aren't from small towns. Like this is just
gotta
how
say
I
this.
expect people to act.
That's not even closest to the weirdest thing he's made a music video about. As Dylan pointed out, we did
Yeah.
a watch along quickly to that music video. As Dylan pointed out, there's a music video where he has Radiohead toilet paper. Something that I
And that's
knew
great.
about, remembered, and was like, oh yeah. Then like I just finished the oral history of 4chan, which puts everything that we're going through right now in extreme context. Like you're like,
Ooh.
oh wow. And traces the money back to like who's actually doing this, who thought up this strategy. I know. But the big thing that you take away from it is all you have to do to stop a lot of this stuff is just go, that's from the internet. This is the real world. Stop it. Like, don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. And also just go, that doesn't bother me. Because there's like Kid Rock's entire fame structure is basically do something wild. A bunch of people will be like, we can write about how someone doesn't like this, and he'll sell a bunch of records because it's a political statement. It was literally the marketing strategy of Rush Limbaugh that's then just been co-opted by everyone because advertising doesn't really work anymore because the marketplace is too disparate. And you know who else has really suffered from the modernization
IHOP
of
did
all
it.
industries? IHOP has done it. Do you know who else?
IHOB. Remember IHOB for 8 seconds? I don't. You know who made that up? Kid Cash.
Certainly did. And you know what else?
What's his real name, though?
David Tyler Cash, which blew my
Ooh.
fucking mind.
How is this guy's name not Ty Cash?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, for a bunch of reasons. First of all, he seems like an odiously unfun human being. I have never.
Yeah.
I want to read what Christopher Hobson, our researcher, put in the first paragraph of the research. After the first interview I heard with Kid Cash, I've written down nothing, as it was an hour of him tearing down other wrestlers, mainly from early TNA, most of whom, such as AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, have eclipsed everything he ever accomplished by a wide margin. He repeatedly badmouthed Jeff Jarrett, for whom I have limited respect, but still outperformed his career. In a much later interview, he concedes AJ Styles is phenomenal, and in another interview says he admired workers such as AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, despite very prominently complaining about them in a long interview after leaving TNA for the first time. Kid Cash thought he was the next Bret Hart, and he is the next Brett Gretzky.
I don't think so. So here's what I think Kid Cash is. Take a bit of Dean Malenko and add a whole lot of like backstage Shawn Michaels without any of the in front of the camera Shawn Michaels. Like he's a great wrestler. I watched a bunch of his matches. He's very, very, very good.
I do not like
he
him.
did thrive in the WWE in that weird cruiserweight division, which was the start of, hey, we have 9 shows. Get out there and fucking do your little flippity doos. He thrived in that because there was literally Triple H, whoever they were about to push, and then the rest of the roster, and he was in the rest of the roster. Like there were no levels beyond.
it was an
Triple H,
interesting
John
thing.
Cena, let's say Shawn Michaels, blah, blah, blah. Like, Bobby Lashley getting a push, for an example. Kid Cash and whoever else.
The 2000s are such a wild time in wrestling because on paper, it's Vince McMahon's most popular, amazing, successful period. And at the same time, besides John Cena and like weird and then Lita got pregnant angles, what else happened for 10 years? Like, it's basically like they bought WCW and then Vince McMahon kept being like, and then they give birth to a hand and I don't like them. And then CM Punk does the Summer of Punk, and that was 9 years.
It was like slowly. If it was like wrestling fans or people trying to drink water, Vince McMahon was just holding your hand on the back of our necks, just going like, "You like water, don't ya? Drink all the water you can." Which
Yeah, and we kept having to be like, "You haven't turned on the tap," and he's like, "Oh, sorry," and then like turns on just a touch, and he's like, "Do you like that? That's refreshing, sparkling water." And we're like, "This is a toilet." And he's like, "Yeah, but the water sparkles with my piss."
So Ricky,
Morton,
David,
Ricky Morton trained David
Yes.
Tyler Cash.
D.
Right there, when I read that, I was like,
C.
that is why he is that way. Because Ricky Morton, I guarantee, was like, you want to know the first thing getting over? You walk into the locker room, you find the biggest guy, and you let him know, I'm going to have sex with your rats.
First things first. A lot of people say it's not about the money. It's about the rats.
Yeah. First thing you want to do is
youngest
you want to
rats
make
you
sure.
possibly can, because then you can sell those young rats to someone who's gross and likes 18-year-olds, and then you get younger rats.
First thing you want to do, befriend Dick Slater. He has a lot of beer. Second thing, beer is cardio. That's what they're talking about. Third thing, you want to find a guy with a bad eye so you can have sex and he can watch you have sex and the television at the same time.
You want to go find every city you go into. You want to call ahead and find the nicest Montessori school, because that's where you're gonna scout, David.
Yeah. You want to know what your last name is Cash, and you know what's in my pocket? Nothing. Give me some cash. I assume your daddy invented money.
I'm gonna need a loan that is forever. Give me the cash.
Fourth lesson of wrestling. I need $1,800. Fifth lesson of wrestling. Do you have weed? I would like some weed.
But I guarantee this guy is like probably taught by. So first of all, Kid Cash starts wrestling in 1989. He had been a 9-year pro by the time he was in EC Dub, and he was 30 years old. He's another guy who's aged very well.
He is another guy that really nailed it, like face look wise in wrestling. In that, and the style he did, like he was in ECW just long enough. Go ahead.
Give me 1 sec. I got to turn something off.
Suck me off, Dylan God. Dylan God's gonna suck me off.
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with my song about sucking you off?
I don't know. I just said when I was over there turning it off, I went, no matter what he says or is in the process of saying when I come back, I'm going to go, no, disagreed.
Fair point. It's a fair point. And
Because that's good radio, John. Two people who don't.
Certainly is.
Also, this is the radio.
Of course it is.
You're
You
here on
understand
1.1, the cock.
Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beta. Welcome to Beta Boys in the morning. Don't call. We don't.
That's so fun. Welcome to Beta Boys in the morning. You call, tell us what to think, and then we believe that now.
Yeah. Can you send us
Please be our leader.
A meme that I will later use to argue with people at Thanksgiving. You don't get it. I'm a grouper. I am not a grouper. We are a horrific organization.
So David Jericho was his first name, which is so funny
I love
because
this so much. Why? Okay, and also, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but AJ Styles also briefly wrestled as Stone Warm Steve Austin, and Samoa Joe was briefly the Stone Dwayne Johnston.
I like that. Well, it's like all those shows in Quebec. They have just French Canadian versions of The Rock and Stone Cold. But they're literally like Stone Cold Steve Aston, so they don't get in
Yeah.
trouble. But it's just guys who they think look exactly.
Salut dans le corne bleu. Stone.
Je m'appelle Steven Mino 3 Tre 6.
Bonjour, l'évêque Otto. Je m'appelle Michael Bouvet.
There you go.
Et tout ready to rumble.
That's good.
Tabernacle.
So he formed a short-lived tag team with Ricky Morton, which is very funny.
Oh, yeah. Ricky Morton. They broke up, by the way, because Ricky Morton kept getting drunk and thinking Kid Cash was a lady he could have sex with. He would just be like, "You're too old, but I'm tired of not having." But
Here's the deal. I like how flat you are. Yeah.
Cornet. I call my dick Cornet
Ooh.
because it's loud and also has bruises on it.
Because it's loud and discriminates.
Yeah, I call my dick Jim Cornette because it hangs to the left, but for some reason dislikes Muslim people.
Anyway, Ricky Morton. By the way, how much of wrestling is like? How close is wrestling in all entertainment to being a pyramid scheme, where it's like most of the money?
So, I had the exact same thought.
Yeah.
Which is like, how much of wrestling is just give this wet, sweaty guy $80?
Yeah, man. Where it's like, when obviously if people want to pay to watch you wrestle or do comedy, then you make the money that way. But a large part of making an income on both is just, hey, let's get some new people in here and take their money from another thing.
Oh my God, it's wild.
Teach them how to do it, even though we know they can't. In Kid Cash, obviously, Kid Cash can do it. And also the fun thing about Kid Cash, the entire time he's working as a wrestler, he's doing construction.
The entire time. He's a project manager for construction for skyscrapers. Bear in mind, in a 24-hour period, that guy was arguing with a municipal inspector about the quality of siding they were putting on a 2-story warehouse conversion. They were converting it from a wet storage facility, Dylan, to a dry storage. Now, as you know, that can be very dangerous because the amount of mold that can accumulate between the walls. So you want to make sure you're using the proper siding. He's having that conversation, and at the same time, the same day, Sabu is like, "Hey, do you think you could super glue a wound? You think you could super glue it?"
Hey, I got this wound. It's right between my butt cheeks. That's your butthole, Sabu. I think it's a wound.
I sewed it closed, and now I'm very fat.
I need a little help with this gimmick you call a butthole. You gotta open that sucker up so I can let the poo out.
My uncle never took a shit because, and I'm quoting, only baby faces shit. Heels piss.
I could see some weird saying that. You're ruining your gimmick. You said hi to a woman.
Why are you pissing standing up? Heels piss sitting down. That way you're ready for an attack.
Okay, I walked by and I saw a family on fire in their house, and a baby face would have helped them, but I'm a heel, so I helped the fire, and now I'm in jail. I tried to explain to the cops that I didn't want to ruin kayfabe. They let me out.
Hello, it's me, Sabu. Do you want to know who the greatest heel in wrestling was? His name was John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. All right, you want to talk about living your gimmick? I got to tell you about a guy named Adolf Hitler. That guy had a great run in the territory of Germany.
Who was the biggest influence on me after my uncle? Osama bin Laden. He always got heat. He got the right kind of heat.
Yeah. That's what I call the Air Sabu. I wanted to rename the 911, but even Paul Heyman frowned on that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Paul Heyman wouldn't let me do that because he's like, I don't know if our fans understand math. And I was like, I don't think that I'm talking to Paul Heyman. I think that that's a garbage can that I'm also doing the voice of.
My butthole's been sewn shut for 20
Here's the thing that
years.
I want everyone to remember. Sabu was married for over a decade. There was a woman out there who for 10 years lived in the same... I assume it was a trailer. I'm going to guess that guy just lives in an RV that he drives between wrestling things. And his wife hung out in there.
She must have loved sedatives. Because that's all. It seems like Sabu's entire life is just like do crazy spots, immediately get out of the ring, sedatives, crazy spots again. But maybe not. Maybe you know what? Maybe Sabu's like a great guy.
Imagine it's just like he gets it all out there, so he's just so kind and giving.
One of my wife's friends, she said the best partner she ever had, like while he was there, partner she ever had, cheated on her to the point where he knew this other girl who he's cheating on her with, liked dogs, so he actually took her dog and would take it over to the other girl's place. That's how bold this man was while cheating. And she was like, honestly, as far as getting along, I've never gotten along with anyone better. So maybe Sabu's like that.
I want you all to know that Dylan is talking about himself. That's what that is a Dylan God original story. Yeah. By the way, it was during the pandemic, and Dylan, as we all know, Dylan believes in masks, but just not.
I call
for
it
him.
the
It's very
handemic
weird.
because we just got a bunch of handos.
Oh, is that true? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
funniest version of pandemic ever. Over here, a lot of comedians are calling it the Panacotta, and one comedian called it the Panasonic. And I wanted to whip a stone at the stage. I wanted to just be like, no. Oh, did you have a bad Panacotta? Go fuck yourself. That's what I say to you.
Do you have a good pee a doo-doo? I might. That's good too. Anyway, we're talking about Kid Cash here, John. So shut the fuck up and let's stop having fun.
Go ahead.
This is very serious business.
It's
7 years this guy's into his career, and then he comes into ECW. Do you know how? Well, I mean, he was small, and to be honest, wrestling grew into Kid Cash because he was a tiny, tiny guy, little baby guy. He was
a little fucking baby who loved money and kids.
But I mean, you know how much stronger he probably was than some of these wrestlers too, just by doing construction and also taking calls. Like he probably had an early version of a cell phone. He's like, if you think we're refinishing that deck, you can get fucked, Brenda. And then people are like, bring that out there. And he's like, no, I'm David Jericho. Yeah. You know how funny it is to watch someone who's clearly a pissed off person? It's like watching Bob Holly be like a fun baby face. Is Sparky?
Yeah, we got.
Hey, you little fucking cunts! I'm pumped up. Cheer for me, you fat shits. Can you stop?
Want to know why I like cars? Because they don't fucking talk back like my cunt wife. Now get the ring, you coleslaw eating cuck fucks. Let me put it this way: Kid Cash strikes me as the kind of guy that drove by Occupy Wall Street and just flipped it off.
Oh yeah, Kid Cash believes in the Masons quite a bit, like more than most people who write books about the Masons.
Okay, so Kid Cash didn't believe in the vaccine 2 years before COVID. Kid Cash
doesn't even believe in. He thinks that if you get a needle, that is heroin every single time.
Yeah. He joins ECW in 1996, which shocked me because I always think of Kid Cash as sort of like he was the beginning of the very end of ECW. Like when ECW on TNN literally would feature every week a 25-minute Kid Cash match against Tony Mamaluke. It was madness.
Yes, and also it was very much like how they push wrestlers in the WWE now, where Kid Cash was there one week, and then the next week he was the TV champion. Like there was no slow build or anything. And say what you ever want about ECW, Paulie had always been amazing at introducing characters. Even Scotty Riggs, who they introduced, was just basically like, hey, Rob Van Dam's gonna beat you up. Scotty Riggs was just like slowly got a build, and they gave him a new character and had him beat a bunch of people.
Yeah, the best
that was Scotty Riggs, but with Kid Cash, it was like you're gonna wrestle some people.
Is Jerry Lynn? I don't know why you would pick Scotty Riggs for that when Jerry Lynn is the best example.
Because it was Scotty Riggs, because it was like Scotty Riggs had been a jobber on WCW for like established jobber. Like people talk about Mr. JL with Jerry Lynn and stuff, but like I didn't know who Jerry Lynn was, and I watched tons of wrestling. But Scotty Riggs, I knew who Scotty Riggs was. He was one of the American males, and they got me to forget that for 4 seconds before Rob Van Dam kicked him in the head.
That is
still
true.
One of my favorite matches of all time was just, what is the Van Terminator? That was the whole match. Everyone knew Rob Van Dam was going to win. Everyone just wanted to see this cool new move. It's something that wrestling has never done before or since. Of just
who was it? The Scotty Riggs match that was the Van Terminator match, or was it a different opponent?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like, because the whole thing was Rob Van Dam being like, I got you this fucking job. Now you're being a dick. Well, now you got to face RVD, baby, who's in the, as far as this company goes, Goldberg but fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who RVD was in ECW. He was fun Goldberg.
Yeah, and it's a way that I think wrestling hasn't done since RVD. They had two of them at the same time. RVD and Stone Cold Steve Austin were two of the three wrestling shows where basically could have been the zany adventures of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the wacky adventures of Rob Van Dam was ECW, because it was like, oh, these guys are so fun to watch that would just base the entire show around. These guys are going to show up. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, have a nice time. Fuck you.
Yeah, you don't need a heel champion. You don't need anything where it's just like everyone likes these guys so much that they're going to do great. Anyway, he went to ECW as, and I don't know why, like, Paul Heyman basically goes, hey, do you have your boots? You're going to wrestle. He wrestles in ECW as David Tyler Morton Jericho.
It's so weird. Yeah, David.
Which seems just like, fuck you. Like, your gimmick is try and make this work.
What it is it's Paul Heyman going, well, you know Ricky Morton, audience likes wrestling and knows wrestling history. They'll recognize that person. Bingo, bango, let's do it. And then...
Chris Jericho is already in the time since you've been David Jericho, Chris Jericho, you can't have the Jericho name anymore because Chris Jericho is a bigger star than you.
Yeah. So you're
even
gonna be
in ECW and in WCW. So
what's so weird is, and I remember in 1999, I was very sentient, and it was this weird thing in nu metal where it was sort of known where it's like the band that's going to survive this for some reason will be Kid Rock, and we don't know why. But like, what? Go ahead.
Kid Rock is comes from an extremely rich family. So even if you get no money for a long time, Kid Rock can always make new music because his family, comes from capital W wealth.
Yeah, that's the other thing to remember about Kid Rock is like a fucking... it's like how Tucker Carlson is the heir to the Swanson. Like there's a bunch of comedians are like this too, where you're like, how the fuck are they able to like not go on the road and just hang out there? And it's like, oh, Nick Kroll's dad is the Sachs in Goldman Sachs. He's the brothers in Lehman Brothers.
His real last name is Kleenex.
Yeah. John Mulaney's dad is Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's lawyer.
Yeah, I just remember I was thinking about that when I was 22, working a day job that was an hour and a half by bus, where I had to take 3 hours in transit every single day, and I did stand-up, and I basically effectively drove myself insane, and I was like, man, I'm a real hard-working, cool guy. No, I was like, I should have just quit that job well long before that. But anyway, yeah, sometimes people don't have to do stuff like that. Good for them. Not that my mother wasn't very helpful. Anyway, I don't want to be like... Yeah, it came from nothing. Clearly did not.
Yeah, no, the main problem with Dylan is Dylan, because Dylan actually, Dylan's family invented the word got. I got you. Yeah, they have royalties.
That's verbs.
Word. Yeah, and Dylan spunked it all. He invested heavily in BlackBerry. Heavily.
Yeah, I invested in BlackBerry.
Just like buttons.
The parent company was called Rib, and I tried to add job to it, and they didn't want to do that. So I was like, I'll just keep on pouring money into this till I add that job.
Yeah. Welcome to Rim Job. This is our new phone, the Dingleberry.
Here's our new phone, the shit. Fuck.
Y'all been Dylan'd.
Y'all been sucked.
So they changed David Tyler fucking Jericho Morton's name to Kid Kash. He resembled Kid Rock at the time, and one of his finishers was called the Bawada, which is Kid Rock's first big single. And they had him walk to the ring in a fedora for a fair amount of time, and his trunks had little fabric dollar bills sticking out of them, which I thought was fun.
It would be exactly like... You understand, Kid Rock just came out, so it would be like if I started wrestling a couple years ago and my name was Travis Scott instead of Travis Scott, and then I had
it would be like if Dylan like really was planning of going as you may have heard of the rapper DaBaby, but Dylan is Da Boy Baby.
Yeah, I would add boy.
Yeah. Dylan was very clear. He's like, I am a boy.
But that's the thing where it's like, I just want to really nail home how quickly. I don't know how to. I can't even come up with someone who just really rocketed onto the scene as far as music or movies. Like a guy who's like, I don't know, like if 3 weeks after it happened, like if there was a new stable called the Squid Gamers in WWE
exactly.
Now it was like that quick.
It would be like if on Monday Night Raw they debuted a stable called the Tiger King 2s.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised Joe Exotic isn't someone's. And then Vince is like,
It'll be 3
been
years.
in jail
In
for
three-
attempted murder, and he's like, that's what sells. He's a real tough guy.
If he gets released, he will be accompanying Bobby Lashley to WrestleMania.
That'd be sweet. He's the guy who gets to take the title from Roman Reigns. He's
Oh my
real.
God, I would love-
He's real off screen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's got a tiger. He's got a what a maneuver.
though
Kid Kash
Kid
is a
Cash says that
fucking
ECW
bad
every single
motherfucker.
night they were as into it as WrestleMania. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it would have been, even though it was at the end, like when recollection wise, we look at this and say it was near the end. Like 2 months before ECW closed, they did their biggest house ever in Canada. So like there was no, as far as brand loyalty goes, what you talk about now, the brand was still very strong. All you needed to have was like the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer there, and then you could literally put whoever else on the card, and ECW, like ECW would have been very, very good in the future. Like you imagine ECW, if WCW somehow ECW stays open and WCW closes, it's like they just poach AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and everybody else, and it's like, okay, well now, and CM Punk, and it's like instead of Ring of Honor, you just have ECW.
Yeah, that's the thing is Gabe Cebulski, who founded Ring of Honor.
Yes.
He very, very much was just using Paul Heyman's plan of if ECW would survive.
Well, he was Paul
he
Heyman's
would've-
apprentice, which is
Yeah,
so
he was
funny
Paul
that
Heyman's-
Paul Heyman had an apprentice, which is
the
just
idea that
basically
Paul,
like,
when you see Paul Heyman and you're like, you had an assistant, what were they doing? Like, because you look like no one is helping you, and also you're making all the wrong decisions. Your skin alone is a ruin.
I'd say the most important part of ECW is don't let anyone flush the toilets. All the pee and poo stays there, so you save on your water bill. Extreme.
Welcome to the ECW arena. I want to remind everyone that water is prohibited from being drunk by me.
We don't sell hot dogs or coffee because that requires heat, which costs money. Just bologna sandwiches or things I find in the garbage at other restaurants.
Final thing I just want to say about Kid Kash and ECW.
okay,
Is did I make up that he wore a fedora to look like Kid Rock?
he did not.
Or did
he dressed exactly like Kid Rock.
It was so good. It was so
He,
good.
he won the television title in the year 2000 when they started throwing it around. He was a great Rhino opponent because he would bump all over the place and he was super small.
Oh yeah.
But there was something that did not click. Like late ECW to me was like Rhino is pretty much just building to Rhino versus Rob Van Dam a ton of times.
Yeah.
But like Rhino's this fucking psycho, and they did a great job of building Rhino, and Kid Cash was just one of the dudes who made Rhino look good, which is great.
Yeah. It was a fucking excellent job. And it's that weird thing of it's also odd that Kid Cash kind of just was a bit too under the radar in ECW because he never got that rub of also being in ECW. Do you know what I'm saying? Like every other,
I think that helped when he go into WWE later on, where it's just like Kid Cash is here. Why? He can work and fuck that.
you
Like,
say
fuck
that.
it. And he gets no stink on him either.
We have to take a break now. But I just want to say that I don't think that it helped him in WWE because like you're the only one who remembers.
Say that
he
after
was
the
there.
break.
All right, I will. I'll say it again after the break, you fucks. Break time. Oh, Dylan. Okay, so ECW folds. Kid Cash does my favorite thing of the mid 2000s wrestlers. Goes to TNA. Very disrespectful behavior. Rude to everyone backstage, I'm sure. Kind of a dick. Then moseys on over to where? You bet your fucking ass he's headed to the WWE, where I do not remember.
I want to talk about the TNA
fight.
time for a second because
I don't remember him being in TNA either, by the way. Like, this is one of those things where no one talks about is TNA had this dearth of like, it's like how La Parka was in TNA. And you're like, what? And it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, he was a late WCW guy who was clearly a good hand. He gets into TNA, and I guarantee it was the exact same.
He was on the last episode of Thunder. He's on the last episode of Thunder. Him,
That's crazy.
Young Dragons versus 3 Count.
We got to do a Young Dragons episode where it's just like back when racism was overt and everyone was like, you know what? Nice.
I thought we did do a Young Dragons episode.
Who knows? Anyway, oh, we did, I think. Anyway, Kid Cash, TNA, feuds with AJ Styles. Quickly to touch on it, really gives off the vibe of this is very specific to comedy, but a guy who's done a couple paid gigs and everyone else has done none. So he acts like he's fucking Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, he's really a guy who dated someone that went on to be famous, so he acts like he has all the information.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. You know, actually, I started with them. Do you want to hear some stories? No. I don't. That's my whole personality is that I've started with them. So you're gonna hear the fucking stories.
He refers to them using a weird nickname.
Guppy. That's Guppy. Are you talking about Richard Pryor? He's Guppy to me.
Yeah. Oh, we had a thing going back. You were born like he was like a well-established famous person. How did you know Richard Pryor? Listen, you know one black comedian? You know Richard Pryor.
Jesus Christ.
Like, Kid Cash, what is your new name? He's like, oh, I'm Kid Alt-Right Cash. I'm Kid Alt-Right.
I mean, Kid Rock is Kid Alt-Right Cash.
Yeah, Kid Rock is Kid Proud Boy. Kid Cash is
Kid Rock is not Kid Proud Boy. Kid Rock's Kid Uncle at a barbecue.
I should be able to say whatever I want because I memorized all these racist jokes off the internet, and that took a lot of goddamn effort. And you are going to laugh at them because it's reached the end of the joke, goddammit.
Da-da-da-da-da-da, ha ha ha. 3 people walk into a bar. Well, first one is fine. Second one is a bit worse. Third one I don't like, and you're going to learn how much at the end. That's every racist joke. Anyway, the Cruiserweight division. John, the greatest Cruiserweight division in mankind's history. The WWE 2005 Cruiserweight division.
No memory of this. I have no memory of him being in the Cruiserweight division whatsoever. I have no memory of this existing in wrestling, and I was watching weekly say at this point.
The least used character in the history of video games is Kid Cash in any of those WWE games. Who is booting up WWE
what a
going,
great point.
I'm going to fucking use Kid Cash.
Yeah, shotgun on David Tyler Cash. I shotgunned him.
The only way you would use Kid Cash in any of these is if you were trying a new level and you wanted to see if you could beat it. Because you'd be like, well, I mean, for sure I'll be able to beat Kid fucking Cash. Kid Cash in those games was one of the guys that Vince McMahon gave himself better stats than. There's always like 2 of them.
That is true. Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah, because Kid Cash, he was definitely in one of the peak PS2 games. Like, I want to say like Raw versus he was amazing. Makes his debut in the WWE at ECW One Night Stand, interfering in the main event. And that's quite frankly, I didn't know he stuck around. What was weird about after ECW One Night Stand is the first one, they hired a bunch of ECW guys and then just put them on WWE TV for various reasons. Some of them, they're like, these guys can work. Others, they're like, listen, we need to make fun of Mexican people. How can we do that?
But you're right, though, because one of his greatest strength was that he wasn't tied to that ECW brand too much, because he didn't give off the you watch some of his old ECW clips, and we posted some on Facebook and stuff, but he does extremely impressive dives, and he does a lot of he wrestled Mike Awesome. He took the power bomb off of the top of the ECW arena through spikes just like everyone else did to get that guy over.
And of course, there was no cameras rolling. That was just done for photographs for Bill Apter.
Yeah.
Bill Apter just wants to see someone slowly die, so on top of the ECW arena, I'll stab you, gut wound, you die, bye-bye.
Let me ask you, have you ever wondered why Bill Apter's looked 80 for over 40 years? That's because he is an ethereal, eternal being who feeds off of suffering. And at the ECW arena, we will feed Apter.
I wonder if Kid Cash... Well, this is the dope thing about construction, is that
go ahead.
Take 2 whole years off of doing construction and then just go back.
Yep.
And the fact that Kid Cash, I would venture to say, probably didn't pay taxes until the mid-2000s because he's in 2 cash businesses. Like, he paid... So his income went from 0, and then 2005, he started making $120,000 a year for 2 years, and then he got released. He was in the tag team called the Pitbulls. By the way,
again, no idea.
The Pitbull is what Vince
the
McMahon.
Craziest thing.
Yeah,
this is the craziest thing that they were like, we need to make the ECW tag team the Pitbulls. You mean those 2 roided out guys that would definitely work for you at any time? No, Kid Cash and Paul London. The people we got to give the people what they want.
Jamie Loeb. No, but this is the thing: is that
Oh, it's
Vince
Jamie
McMahon
Noble. Sorry, fuck
wanted to
me.
call AJ Styles the Pitbull and did a constantly. So that's his like idea of like a small guy. So anytime there's like a small guy who he has to push or people tell him to push, he just wants to rename them the Pitbull because Pitbulls are small and they get in there, I guess. Even though Pitbulls are
They're
fucking
also
huge.
not,
Like what the fuck are you
yeah,
talking
they're
about?
not small at all. He's like, yeah, because I'm a Great Dane. And then he shows you a photo of a Labrador. Vince, do you not know the names of dog species? No, I'm a cat person.
Cats are so cute. Anyway, he won the
wanna fuck a
cruiserweight
cat.
championship because pretty much anyone who could. They probably just gave the cruiserweight champion to like a bunch of kids who won contests. To be fair, around that time, but he team of Jamie Noble. Then Jamie Noble found a gimmick that worked, and Kid Cash got released. But he got 2 good years.
Yeah,
That's good. It's more than most of us get. He was one of those guys. When I started the research, and I remembered he was in WWE. I was kind of shocked that he was in there for only 2 years. I thought he would have been like one of those guys who's like, no, he's been working there for 10 full years.
Yeah,
Just like
I know what you mean.
became a road
I figured he's
agent.
like- yeah, he works with Downtown Bruno. There's this room in Vince McMahon's house where he just keeps people he likes to attack. Kid Cash lives there.
Don't go in that room. That's the Junkyard Dogs kid. I signed him to a development deal just so I could defend myself against him every now and then.
Yeah, I just bully him. I go in there and I don't know what that word means. Does it mean to be held by the Junkyard Dog's son? Because that's what I do.
So, John, would
Go
you
ahead.
say
Yeah.
if you were to get like your dream come true for 2 years and then you were released, would you say you'd lapse into doing minor crimes?
Yes, I already have. I'm quietly emptying Dylan's PayPal account as we speak.
Kid Cash did some fucking identity theft.
It's really good.
He did an identity theft, 2 counts of forgery under $500, 4 counts of property theft under $500. It sounds
What are
like
you
just
doing?
someone pissed him off.
Yeah, it sounds like he just stole He found $499 from a guy he didn't like very much.
Yeah, it was very calculated. It had to be $499.99.
Yeah. Oh, what a fucking wang this guy
But
is.
then he posted $46,000 in bond, which of course was all in cash because it was just like, all right, get the shoebox full of cash from construction, and yeah. And then eventually the woman withdrew the charges because she knew she shouldn't have cheated on Kid Cash. And then Kid Rock's writing a song about that.
I guarantee what the scenario was.
your identity.
Anyway, go for it.
Yeah, Kid Cash stole money from that woman because that woman broke up with Kid Cash, and he was like, "That's not how that works. I get money."
So this is the fun thing too, is that Kid Cash eventually gets another job because they try and do another ECW reunion in TNA, which is
Yeah,
of
they do,
course
and it is
late
the
and
greatest.
bad.
It's the saddest one. Welcome
Yes.
to hell. It is Cash and Simon Diamond and Johnny Swinger defeated Little Guido, Tony Luke, and Tracy Smothers. By the way, I do love that they went back to the original and best version of the Full-Blooded Italians, which is Tommy Rich, Tracy Smothers, and Little Guido.
No, it was Tony Mama Luke.
Oh, in the sorry. It says Tony Luke on the things, but it's the FBI, Full-Blooded Italians. Tony
great.
Mama Luke, Little Guido, Tracy Smothers. Tommy Rich should have
Which-
been there as the manager, as the big Don Tommy Rich with Big Sal Graziano. Another thing that no
Yeah.
one talks about in ECW, which is ECW would always have one stable would just have a really big fat guy who did not wrestle but just took bumps from Spike Dudley. And it's like, why? The Baldies had
Spike
one.
Dudley was the giant killer.
I know, I loved it. So the acid drop, the greatest little man move for a big man ever.
It was great. Spike Dudley was great. And Kid Cash, once again, the ultimate niche role, I think, which was we're doing an ECW reunion. Everyone will get fucking pissed if we job out one of the actual ECW, like Dreamer or Sandman or any of
Well,
these
they were
guys.
also in creative control at the company at the time. So I think there was a reason why they were given such a preferable place on that show. And that's because what else are you going to fucking do, bro? Bro.
Yeah, why would you just push some of the new talent you have and build them? No, we're going to do an ECW reunion where we can't get anywhere near having the most we can do copyright wise is have an E in the word.
Yeah. And the
What's
word
the-
has to, and the E has to be at the end. The
Yeah.
pay-per-view they hold is called Hard Justice. Oh no,
E.
Hardcore Justice. Hardcore Justice.
Hardcore Justice.
Which is the
Yeah,
exact
Hardcore
opposite of ECW. ECW is hardcore lawlessness. There were no rules. That's why it was extreme.
No rule. But what I mean is Kid Cash is the ECW guy you bring in, and it's okay if he loses immediately because no one fucking cares.
Because no one considers him like he's not an actual ECW guy.
Yeah, and then immediately, since
It's like
he's
how Pete Best is not a Beatle. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Like he was in the Beatles.
the drummer,
but
first drummer, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. By this time, Kid Cash also is 42 years old, and he does a great thing, which
Wild.
is he is trained by Ricky Morton, so he can wrestle normal things, and then you can easily be like, hey, he's not aligned with ECW anymore. He's going to do a bunch of dark matches against people who don't really know how to wrestle or people we want to see, and he fills that role extremely well.
Yeah.
He's just like a really good hand, but he's also a dick. Like, I'm guarantee in WWE, he probably walked up to Benoit or Jericho and was like, it was like crazy because like I could be the world champ and you could be doing this. That's just how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. It's also weird because he walked up to Chris Jericho and was like, I read your journal and you're too much of a pussy to do that.
Yeah. Hey, I've been reading some of your political opinions and samesies. High five. The Jericho twins.
Yeah. I want you to know this all right now. If Chris Jericho had done what he did then today and survived, there is a 50-50 shot that people would be like, well, he was wronged by his family.
I guarantee the most money Kid Cash ever made in his wrestling career was this 3-year run in TNA, though, because he could also do construction.
100%. This guy was doubling up and making so much cash. He is a project manager. He got a degree online while being a wrestler, which means he is not qualified for his job, and he does not care. He's a big, mean man, and I do not like him. I love him.
Although he should have changed his name to Man Cash because he's fucking 40 years old, kid. Man Cash.
Yeah, baby.
That's a bad name. Almost Man Cow. He would have been good as a guy. His new gimmick isn't that he is Kid Rock. His new gimmick that he is Man Cow, and he would have been basically
Oh my
Bubba the Love
God.
Sponge, and he just would have filmed all his matches and beat off to them later. And this guy's standing there, what do you do with that little dick? And then that would have been
I
good.
want so badly. Yeah, Kid Cash the Love Sponge. Man Cash?
When you hear
Man
Bubba the Love
Cash the
Sponge,
Love Sponge.
it doesn't really click in how that name is probably just Bubba the Jizz Rag. Like that's how we came
Yeah.
up with that.
Bubba the I want to absorb your cum.
I want to soaking up all your cum in the
You know
sun.
what's crazy
Bubba.
is that's of all the nicknames in the world, I found out what Love Sponge definitely means in the weirdest way ever, as did everyone. Watching the Hulk Hogan sex tape, we're like, oh, that kind of love sponge.
Oh, wait. Jeez. Oh, also, we should say this. He retires in 2015, like actually retires like a person would.
Yeah.
And
Because he's nearly 50, and it's just like, what am I doing?
and also, he made his pro MMA debut in 2016. He was knocked out in 38 seconds.
38 seconds. Also, when
And-
CM Punk started in MMA, he was all like, I got to let everyone know, same weight class, and I could definitely beat him, which I'm just like, holy shit.
I mean, that would have been a good fight for CM Punk, and absolutely a great fight for the viewer, which is both men break their hands and then agree the fight is over now. It's a draw.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fucking crazy. It would be two men get in the ring, and within seconds would be just doing full pro wrestling while an entire arena just attacked them. You hadn't seen an MMA audience react badly since the end of Bruno was filmed.
Yeah, the end of Bruno was pretty fucking sick. Anyway, he returned to wrestling on August 11th of this year, and I mean he's gonna wrestle off and on because he's a good wrestler. Also, I don't know, just a classic thing of like no charisma. Here's what no charisma and being a good wrestler can get you during a boom period in wrestling, and that is actually, you know what? He only started working right at the end of the boom period, but he did work throughout the 2010s, and I don't know. I think He was good, but like, you know what I mean? He's one of those guys. He just wins and loses, and he's just a good part of the show. John, what's your favorite and most hated thing about Kid Cash before we
Favorite
leave?
thing about Kid Cash? Just worked construction the whole time because of course. Worst thing about him, his attitude at work, I guarantee, was very irritating. He was not a fun coworker.
Yeah, I guarantee this guy is like an okay guy, but then like super bitter because he sees himself as not getting the breaks he deserves. And probably, I don't know, the best thing is his work rate, and the worst thing is probably that if Kid Rock hadn't have gone country, if Kid Rock had just been a rap rock guy and stopped there and not done like adult contemporary essentially and pivoted that way, Kid Rock probably could have been Kid Cash's manager, and that would have made Kid Cash a lot more.
Oh my God, that would have been awesome, and still could happen, ladies and gentlemen, because like we have to remember,
Still could.
by the way, all the anti-vax stuff, all of that is the equivalent of fucking Furby or a Tamagotchi. This is
It's true.
all gonna go away. And
You should also look up, if you're like, oh, this anti-vax stuff is around forever, look up literally the opposition to the seatbelt. People were
Yeah.
pissed about seatbelts.
I mean, Dylan, it's a joke that
I was pissed.
I've never done, but I want to do, which is bear in mind in the state of New Hampshire, totally legal not to wear a seatbelt. In
Oh,
Antarctica, totally illegal. No, it's only New Hampshire. I looked this up.
Really, not even
Antarctica.
Tejas. Tejas, you got to wear a seatbelt. Tejas, you don't have to fucking wear a helmet when you ride a motorcycle either.
No. There's a shitload of it's something like 27 states or 3. I know the following places. I think Minnesota and Texas definitely no helmet laws whatsoever.
Sick.
Yeah, but New Hampshire, you still don't have to wear a seatbelt. You do have to wear a seatbelt in Antarctica, and they don't have any roads. That's how fucking crazy America is.
You just have to walk around wearing a belt because that is your seatbelt forever.
Yeah, exactly right. What about you, Dylan?
Oh, I said what I didn't like and liked. So now what we're going to do is do the plugs. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We haven't been very active on Patreon because we've both been extremely busy with the busy season as far as comedy goes. We do apologize. But also, we recorded a little bit of a Patreon episode before this, which is basically just a watch along to Kid Rock's new video. It's only a couple minutes long, but we'll be recording some Patreon stuff coming up for you guys for your listening pleasure. You can join us on social media at Wrestler Review, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.com/Wrestler Review Podcast. I join us on Facebook, probably the best because we can post full long clips of matches if you want that. Other social media sites will be posting clips from the show leading up to the show and a bit afterwards. Fucking what else? At Dylan Gott, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at the John Hastings, Twitter and Instagram. Watch John's show, Untitled Twitch stream every day at 2 p.m. Eastern.
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Pacific time. Also,
2
thank you
p.m.
everyone
pack
who
time.
supports this show. It allows us to pay our researcher. It allows us to not lose any money putting out this show, and we really enjoy doing it. Thank you so much for the support. Also, Dylan needs the money because guess what? He's going for a hair transplant. He's finally going to get that back hair.
I'm going for a fucking hair transplant.
He wants hair on his back,
pubes.
baby. More pubes.
there.
He wants more pubes.
I want
Dylan
take them
wants
all.
the-
Take all the hair I'll ever grow on my head and put it on those fucking pubes. Thanks so much
Exactly.
for listening, guys. We'll be back next week with Umaga. Sure.
Ooh, MAGA.